Good evening everybody and welcome to the White Rock Caves here on the seafront at Hastings, the home of the True Crime Museum. Tonight we're going to be discussing how to get rid of a body. It's a tutorial many of us would find useful if we ever find that we are needing to get rid of somebody quickly. It's an area that so many murderers have stumbled and been detected, their crimes have been detected through their inability to get rid of the body. The case that we're going to be looking at tonight is that of John Childs. We have John Childs' bath here at the museum. He was a contract killer in East London in the mid-70s. He murdered and then disposed of 6 victims, one of whom was a child, Terry Brett, who was the son of George Brett, who was a contract haulage operator in East London, who Childs took a contract to kill. Childs was generally paid about £1,200 to get rid of these victims, and the way that he chose to do it was to lure them back to his flat in Dolphin House in East London, Poplar, and he would lay out some polythene on the floor, pretend to be decorating, offer them a cup of tea, come up behind them with a revolver and put a bullet in the back of their head. He then carted them off to the bathroom, to the bath that you will see here at the museum, where he had an industrial meat grinder set up in the bath. Little did he know that the industrial meat grinder required 3-phase electricity to operate it. So he turned it on, he started to feed the body of the first victim into the industrial meat grinder. It snarled to a horrible halt, fusing the entire block of council flats, and he was left with half a body, or half a leg, I believe, inside the industrial meat grinder, and no way of returning it or finishing the disposal of the body. So he then cut the industrial meat grinder up into pieces using an angle grinder. What sort of job that must have been, one can only imagine, especially the noise that it must have created. He then scrubbed the meat grinder down and threw the pieces into a canal in East London. So he's back to square one as to how he's going to get rid of this body and the subsequent bodies. He then used a hacksaw, a fret saw and a sharp kitchen knife to dismember the bodies in the bath that you'll see here at the museum. He had to cut them down to sections about the size of a human fist or a human hand, because the next thing that he did was to burn the pieces in the grate of the council flat at 13 Dolphin House in Poplar. Must have been an unbelievably long, tiresome and gruelling task. He said it took him between 3 and 3.5 days solid, with very little sleep and a lot of alcohol, in order to make this task easier for himself. And obviously we don't have any sympathy for his the difficulty of that task, but obviously very committed to getting rid of the bodies. The defence in Childs' case, his defence solicitor, argued that it was impossible to dispose of a full-grown adult in this way, and that Childs was a fantasist who was making it all up. So the prosecution took the carcass of a pig, approximately the size of a full-grown adult male, to the flat in Poplar, put it in the bath that you can see here at the True Crime Museum, and cut it into pieces just in the same way as Childs had alleged that he'd cut his victims into pieces. And through the prosecution proving that a pig could be dismembered in this way, and it took exactly the same amount of time as John Childs said it took to dispose of each of his victims, which was 3 days, between 3 days and 3.5 days. And consequently they went back to court with this and said yes, it can be done, and this is how we did it, and this is how he did it. Childs was handed a whole life tariff. He still resides in prison. He's a very old man now, and he further confessed to 5 murders when inside prison. So there you have it. Lesson 1 in how to get rid of a dead body.